What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing, and it looks like my worst fears are coming true, and that's regarding guys Golovkin versus Gennady. Now, we all know they're negotiating for a possible replacement to Canelo's December 10th date, and from what it sounds like, the negotiations aren't going too smoothly. There's some discrepancies, disputes, and the fight's not being made easily, and there's a couple things that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. So the biggest thing is, it looks like it's on the Gennady side, point blank period. Gennady, him and his team, they're trying to alter the split, and that has been done before. But normally, when they have two people that hold the same belt, a super champion, which Golovkin holds the super champion title, so he has the belt with the greater merit, and then okay, so here's how it breaks down. The belts, sometimes they have three versions of the same belt, where you have a super champion, that's the highest. Next would be the regular, and then they have the interim, right? So a lot of sanctioning bodies have multiple belts. Golovkin has the highest supreme belt, like the true belt. Then underneath it is the version of it that Jacobs has. And normally the person with the greater belt, the super belt, gets the lion's share of the money, 75% to 25% split. Team Jacobs is not okay with that. They're trying to get 60-40. Now, this is negotiating. There's no problem with that, but the problem I have is, in the past, Jacobs has made it very clear that it's like that. Now, I'm not gonna say all about the money, but that he wants a certain amount of money or the fight's not happening, and he can let it marinate. And he's been talking kind of like De La Hoya's talking about the Canelo fight, like, oh, we can build and wait till that fight's greater, and then the money's greater. So money seems to be a focal point. So I don't have a problem with anyone negotiating, trying to get more money. I mean, that's cool. But the problem I have is, it sounds like money has the chance and the likelihood to be a big obstacle. It doesn't sound like they're willing to take the 75 to 25% ratio, which is customary. So to me, does Jacobs really want the fight? If you really want the fight, then, you know what I mean, most likely, even if you get rejected with the 60-40 deal, you would take the fight. But I think if they're supposed to rule on it next week, Monday or Tuesday, on the WBA, because sometimes they grant exceptions if you can plead a case or you state why you deserve 60-40 or whatever the situation is, and they might grant that. So fingers crossed that happens. But I'm worried about I'm a realist, so I'm worried about what happens if the WBA says no, we're keeping the 75 to 25% ratio. That's what it's always been. Then what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Is Jacobs gonna say, fuck it, I'll take that, and then still want to fight? We don't know. The other issue is, in these negotiations, it sounds like the WBA spoke with ESPN. It sounds like the Jacobs team, his lawyer or whoever's doing the negotiating, the representation, is communicating that Jacobs is open to a voluntary defense, which is basically what Canelo did to Golovkin. Golovkin was Canelo's mandatory, and then he was like, oh, I want a voluntary defense, and then he picked Amir Khan, and as a result, Golovkin fought Dominic Wade, his mandatory. But it wasn't Golovkin's team's idea to not fight Canelo straight away. That was Canelo's side, Golden Boy's side, that initiated that, and they just kind of went with the flow, thinking they'll get the fight in September of this year, which clearly didn't happen because Canelo vacated his belt. Now that's being mentioned from the Jacob side, it sounds like, for the Golovkin fight. Oh, maybe we should basically build it up, let it marinate, fight somebody else. And I mean, I'm just getting sick of it. I wanted boxing to have a strong close, because UFC is doing some great big cards and great matchmaking, and for whatever reason, boxing can't get it together. Okay, Canelo's hurt, Deontay Wilder's hurt, I get that, right? But when are these other guys gonna step up, the guys with somewhat of a name? Jacobs, you beat Golovkin, you're the man. You know what I mean? You lose a competitive fight, then your stock doesn't really drop. Golovkin's been destroying people. He's been knocking out his last 23, 24 opponents. You know what I mean? But if you don't take the fight, then that's not going to look good. So that's another issue, is the voluntary defense that has been mentioned. Now, Tom Loeffler, they want to stress this fight. They like the fight. They don't want a voluntary defense. They want the fight right now. So they're calling for a purse bid. Now, the downside to that is when it goes to a purse bid, it's basically going up for an auction, and the winning bidder, whoever that is, wins the rights to the fight. And then they have a certain time frame where they can pick a venue, pick the official date, and basically you're winning an auction. Like if there's a painting and you're the highest bidder, 15,000, and that they hit the gavel and you're the winning bidder, then you get that painting. So you basically get the rights to that fight. So the problem with that is this: if, let's say, Lou DiBella is bidding the auction for Al Haymon and PBC, and they win the purse bid, then they're probably going to want it on their terms. I.e., for example, Deontay Wilder lost the purse bid. Lou DiBella bet on the purse bid for Wilder Povetkin. They lost. The person that beat him was World of Boxing, WOB, which is Rubinsky or whatever his name is, right? He's a Russian promoter, and he won the purse bid. So he won and secured the rights to Wilder versus Povetkin. We didn't get to see it because of the Meldonian drug test, but he still won it. That's why Deontay Wilder was going to have to fight Povetkin in Russia. Now, the same guy, Rubinsky, WOB, World of Boxing, the Russian promoter, just won the rights to Bermane Stiverne versus Povetkin, which was WBC ordered that particular fight after the Meldonian testing, right? And then the winner is in line for a title shot with Wilder now. So the same thing applies. Povetkin versus Stiverne will probably take place in Russia, unless the Russian promoter sees fit that it'll do more money or be a bigger smash elsewhere. But most likely, I think that fight will probably happen in Russia. Why not give your fighter the hometown advantage? So the point being, with Danny Jacobs and Triple G, if Al Haymon's side, Lou DiBella, wins the auction per se, then they could stage the fight on Premier Boxing Champs. They could put it on Showtime. They could put it on NBC or whoever, one of the many networks that they work with, Fox. And to my knowledge, Golovkin has been working exclusively with HBO. So I don't know if K2 would want to break that pact or that contract. We've seen the same thing. This is all politics. It's making me so angry. Same thing happened with Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev when Stevenson went over to Showtime. And then all of a sudden, Kathy Duva pulled out of the purse bid when it looked like the fight was going to be, we were getting somewhere with the fight. Main Events pulled out of the purse bid because they have a great relationship with HBO. Kovalev has been on HBO and housed and showcased all their fights, and they pulled out because they got scared that what if HBO and their side didn't win the fight, and then that means Kovalev would have to go to the opposing network to make the fight, and they didn't want to burn their bridges with HBO or piss off HBO. So I think the same type of situation is going to apply with Golovkin. He's been on HBO. HBO's put a lot of money into him. They've marketed him. They're giving him main event dates. They're partnering him as like a double feature or a two-for-one type of deal where you get him and Chocolatito. All the commentators are praising him. The Kellermans, the Lampleys, and Roy Jones are doing interviews and stuff where they're celebrating him. So to make this fight that you want with Jacobs, would you be willing to possibly burn your bridges and piss the network off? You know what I mean? When they've invested that much time, money, and energy into you. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going to happen, but December 10th is coming sooner than later, and this is not a good sign. But we'll have to wait and see what they decide as far as the purse split. Maybe if they grant the purse split, that gets this fight done. I don't know how vested the WBA is, but it's not looking good, and it's a lot of it's looking like the Jacobs side. They want a different split, which again, there's not a problem with negotiating, but it just makes me a bit skeptical because Jacobs has seemed to avoid the fight in the past, and money is clearly a huge issue because he's openly done interviews where like, oh, I'm not doing it for peanuts. And it sounds like he really wants to be compensated. Now, I don't know what that figure is. I'm not saying he should fight for peanuts, but I'm a fan, man. I just want to see a good fight. I told you guys I was going to try to go to New York. I'm on the other coast. I'm on the West Coast, as far as you possibly could be in the United States, basically, from New York. And I was willing to go to this fight. So I'm just aggravated with this whole thing. All these UFC fights, because it has one owner and, well, not one owner, but kind of one person in charge, they seem to get made a lot easier. But you always run into this Stevenson, Kovalev, all this these politics and loopholes and hurdles. I just want to see a good fight. But we'll see what happens. I'm not going to jump the gun too prematurely, but it's not really looking good for Jacobs suggesting a voluntary defense. And if it goes to a purse bid and HBO side doesn't win, it's just none of that is going to be a good look, because it's going to get even sloppier. And we may not get the fight. And if we do get it, we won't get it by December. So I don't know. If it's not Jacobs, I really don't know who Golovkin is going to fight, to be honest. Chris Eubanks, I think he had tennis elbow. You have Billy Joe Saunders, who's fighting Wolverine. Hey, bub! Canelo's injured and got a second opinion, so he's not coming back in 2016. Curtis Stevens is on the Ward Kovalev undercard, fighting the guy that David Lemieux was supposed to fight and missed the weigh-in. James De La Rosa. David Lemieux, Golovkin already beat him. But anyway, he's fighting in October against some bum. You know what I mean? So, and that's like the whole middleweight division. Andy Lee, I don't even know where he's at. There's not really too many other names. Toriano Johnson, I don't even know what happened. He kind of just fell off the map. Let me know what you guys think. Gennady Jacobs versus Triple G. This is the fight that needs to happen. I don't know. Without Golovkin moving up in weight, like to face like maybe a Gilberto Ramirez, who I don't know if he would take that fight coming off an injury, or like a James DeGale, but he's fighting Badujak. I don't know. It's not looking good. Let me know what you guys think. Drop in the comment section. Make sure you like my video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe to next videos. Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.